Yeah, hello and welcome back. And I'm excited to announce about the Flutter Developer Bootcamp. And if you want to learn a real Flutter app development and get your dream job as a Flutter developer, join my professional Flutter app development bootcamp course and you will get all the required skill to become a professional Flutter developer. And I will be teaching you everything regarding the Flutter app development, and we'll be developing a real production level Flutter app over here, and we'll be covering all of the topics regarding a Flutter development. There will be a total 8 modules covered in this course, and you can find the link below in the description. Just go and click on it and find all the relative information regarding this course, and I hope to see you guys in this course. So stay tuned and have a great day. Yeah, hello and welcome back to the new lecture over here. And today we are going to learn about the Flutter lints. And you can go to the pub.dev and you can search for this particular package. So Flutter underscore lints. And this package contains a recommended set of lints for the Flutter app, and this package or the plugin to encourage a good coding practice. So if you have been developing on the Flutter and you may want to implement some of the good practices, then it's always good to have a Flutter lint implemented. And there are other packages too that also is quite useful for the Flutter development. But when you create your Flutter application, the default package for the lints is the Flutter lints. So you can just go to the pub.dev and search for this package, and let's go through the documentation over here. So basically, when you create your application, that will be added of analysis option underscore options.yml file. So this depend on the package as the dev dependency, so it is added inside the dev dependency of the package, and by running the flutter pub add dash dash dev flutter lint, so it can be added in this way, and creates a analysis of underscore option.yml file, a file at the root of your package. So which means that whenever you create this file will be whenever you create a Flutter application, this file will be inside your root package, and this will include this particular lint rule. So you can open this file inside your project, and you will see the default has all of these things enabled for you. So let's go and see what is a Flutter lints, right? So if you are coming from the other background like any other programming, if you are basically from the Android, you know there are a lot of lint rules that you can actually apply on the Android application itself. So if you are from the Android background and any other programming background where the lint is used, so you are quite familiar already. So basically the lints are the sets of the rules that will help us to write a good coding practice. So it will give us like a error warning. You can set all of those stuff like error warning and info based on your lint rule. So how you want to behave, or how your code will be given you, will be doing the analysis of your code, and what are the recommendation that it wants you to give you, right? Sometimes you want to give you error, sometimes you want to give you as a warning, sometimes you just want to get info from that particular set of the rule that you have set. So let's go back to our project over here, and this is a default project that I have previously created, and I have added some of the extra packages over here. Just don't worry about that, and we'll just go to the dev dependency over here, and in the dev dependency we have the Flutter lint. This is by default added. Whenever you create a new project, you can just go and check inside this dev dependencies. The Flutter lints is already added for you. So when this is added, and if you go to the analysis underscore option.yml file, this file has been created for you, and you can check over here that it includes the package, the Flutter lint, and the Flutter yml file. So this is already added for you, and here you can add your rules, right? So here this is the lint rule applied to this project can be customized here. So if you want to customize, by default the lint rule is already applied for you, and this is the default rule that has been already set. But sometimes you want to customize it, right? So the default one may not be suitable for you, and you want to customize the default lint rule. So here is the option that you can actually do it. So let's go back to our site over here, and what we will do is we will go to the, I think let's go to the repository, or you can just go and read the example and all of the codes that you can actually check from here. But we'll go to the repository or the GitHub repository from here, and the main thing is that you need to read the documentation, what it actually does over here. And the another thing that I want to show is you can go inside the lib folder, and you will see that the flutter under flutter.yml file is over here. So that is the actual this file that has been imported over here, and so which includes the flutter.yml file. So let me open back over here, and you can go inside this, and you will see that all of the rules that has been set for you. These are some of the default rules that has been set for you. And if you also check that it includes the another package, so this file also includes the another recommended.yml file. So this is the another file that has been included for it, and this comes from the lint package. So you can see that it is coming from the lints, and the package is of the name is of lints, and it is using the recommended.yml file. So if I go and copy this, and let me go back to the pub.dev, I guess, where is that? Okay, so if I come over here and if I search for that particular package lints, and I guess this is the one, right? The lints. And you see this is the official .lints rule. So it is making the Flutter is making use of the official rules, and they have a bit of difference in the rules and the Flutter rules. So they have separated for the and the Flutter lint rules. So this is the lints for the static analyzer to identify the possible problems in your source code. So this is basically used for the source code. And if I go to the repository, and in the repository I will go to the lib folder again, and I will take a look on the recommended and the YML file, because this was the file that was included on the Flutter lint package. So here you can see there are a lot of the defaults rules that has been applied for you. So these are the basic way that you can actually find out what are the lints rule are enabled for the Flutter lint package. So these are all included, and also the previous one that was included. So it is the combination of the lint or the lints and the Flutter lints rules. So there are two combinations over here. And what we will do is we'll just go back to the Flutter lint over here, and I guess you will you can understand if you read over here, and it says that this package is built on top of the recommended YML file, so which we just went and checked through. So this is built on top of that one, right? So which comes from the package lint rules that we just saw, and also the lints are surfaced by the analyzer, and which statically check for the Dart code, and that enable represents the issue identified by the analyzer in the UI. Alternatively, you can also run the analyze to evoke the manually by running Flutter analyze. So you can also run this actually code to command line to Flutter analyze to analyze your Dart code. So let's go back, and over here this already has some of the source code. So let me go and open up the terminal, and in the terminal I will just write the Flutter analyze, and this will analyze our code. So it will do the static analysis for our code, and you can see that it has given us some of the info over here. So basically it's giving us the info over here, unused import, right? And if you go to this particular let me go to this particular file, open in editor, and there is some unused imports. So I guess which is the unused import for the home screen. So I don't see any unused import over here, but let me go over here. I think this is the one. Yeah, so here is some unused import, which is basically Flutter lint rule has applied, and you can see there is info that has been set. So if you don't want this one to be particularly info, and you want to change it to something like a warning, or maybe you want to completely disable it, or maybe you want to give it as an error. So how do we check set that particular rule? So if I go and just search for something like the Flutter lint rule, and I think I'll check for the lint rule. So you can also open this one, and you can also check, I think this is the use for the .linter to identify .linter is to identify a possible problem in your code, which we just saw it, and there are predefined rule set that I have already mentioned, so which use the lints, which contains the set of the contains two set of the rule written by the created or the created by the Dart team. So this lints is basically for the Dart team, and also here we have the Flutter lint. We just have included that one in our package. So Flutter lint contain the Flutter rule set, which is created by the Flutter team and encouraged to use by us, the Flutter team. And also there is an pedantic, which is another package, and that has been deprecated, so which was previously maintained by the Google team. So it has been deprecated, and now it's recommend us to use the lint or the Flutter lint for our Flutter application. There are other things like the rule types. There are different kind of the rule types, like the error, possible error or mistake in your code, or if you want to have a style, which basically do the styling of your code. And the another one is the pop for the possible package, is the issue in the package itself. So let's go and open the linter for the Dart, right? So I'll just open this linter for the Dart, and you can see that the supported lints rule, and these are the list of the auto generated for our source, and you can see there are errors, styles, and the pub. So basically we'll be using in our application just for the error and the style codes. So you can just read it in addition to the rules that can further distinguish by the maturity. So it has also a maturity, and unqualified rules are considered stable, right? And while others may be marked as the experimental. So some are the experimental, some are already in the maturity level. So there are other things, and the list are there also marked with the deprecated, which should not be used and are subjected to removal in the Flutter further linter release. So which means that if it is marked as the deprecated, then you should avoid it. So do not include that rules, which basically means that it will be in the further in the future releases of the lints, then it may be deprecated, or it may be completely removed from that particular package, right? So when it is in the deprecated mode, try not to use it or include it in your application. So let's try to do some of the let me go back to my application. I was basically getting the unused import, right? So let me copy this, and I will go back to the website over there, and let me search for that particular unused import. So unused import, I could not find it, but I found avoid unused constructor parameter. It is not the one that I'm using. Okay, so it's not the one. So let me find out the particular the lint rule that we will be using for this unused import. So if I go and search for this, and this is the unused import, it is actually the unused import. So I think I can just copy it from here. Let me copy it, and if I go back over here and search for that particular unused import, I'm not able to get it. Is it not there already? So I guess it's not here, and it's quite, I'm not finding it. So I hope you can find it, but if it's not there, what we can do is we can just go back to our project, and we will see that it's use of the unused, and we can just copy this one, and I'll just go to the lint rules over here, the file, the analysis underscore option, and we have the another option over here to do the analyzer. So I'll just say NALYZER analyzer, and we can add how we can analyze our code. So here we will add an option for errors, and these errors we can always set for this particular unused import to be something like a warning. And yeah, so now you can see that if I go back to here, it will give us a warning. So unused import. So unused import is now it is on the yellow color. So if you want to change it to the error, you can just come over here and send it to error, and you will go over here and you will see that it is now in the red color, which is an error. And this, when there is an error, then you are unable to build your application, right? So you can actually go and change to different over here, like info, if you just want to give it as info over here. And now it has changed back to the info itself. So there are different options that you can actually use over here. So I will just also remove all of these, the linter rules, and here what I will do is, for this one I have a unused import, right? So I need to properly arrange the indent over here, otherwise it's not going to work it. And you can either use this way, which basically means it is which basically means that is enabled. Sometimes you don't want this way and you want to be specific, like you can also set it something like a true or false over here. If I say as a false over here, that means these rules are not applied. And I guess that this doesn't have the lint rule, so that's why we didn't saw it in our website. If it doesn't have a lint rule, which basically means that we are unable to set it over here. And if we set it something like this false, and it's not going to affect any of our, like if you want to disable, if we set it to false over here, that basically means it should not check over here. But currently if we set it to false, it's still checking that, and still analyzing it, right? So which means that there is a no lint rules for this one. So I can safely remove this one because there is no lint rule for that. And also, like if I change this to something like error, right? And we will go over here and see that there is an error. And if I run the Flutter analyze over here, and you should get that particular info over there. So it's now has been changed to error. Previously it was in info, now it has changed back to error. So how we can fix this is we have to remove this all, right? So there are some of the unused imports, so you can just remove this, and this can be your existing application or the new application that we have, that you currently have. So I'll just remove all of those, and now I can, if I run the Flutter analyze command over here, that shouldn't give us, okay, so it still has a one issue found over here. It's using upper camel case. So let's go to this package over here and this file over here, and it is using this particular I think this is the g.dart file, which is a generated file, right? So the class name, it is saying that it is using a camel case type, right? So this is not a recommended way to generate for the class should always start with the upper camel case, right? So it should always start with the upper camel case, but now we are using the camel case type. So this is not a good good coding practice, it's saying. So how we can actually exclude this one, because the g.file is not that is not the file that we have created ourselves. It is the file that has been generated by the code. So what we have to do is we need to exclude this from the lint analyzer. So we can exclude it and mention it that, okay, don't check for this particular file, or do not check for all this kind of the file g.dart file. So here in the analyzer, I can just go and exclude it, exclude, and inside exclude I will just mention that all of this file that match this pattern, I don't want it to be analyzed. So asterisk asterisk and slash dot, I think it should be asterisk dot g dot the dart file. So I will mention that do not analyze this particular file. So I will exclude all the file that matches this pattern. So g dot the dart file. So now if I go and run back again the Flutter analyze tool over here, that should not pick up that particular file, and now you can see that it has no issue on our code. And if I go back to that generated file, this is not checked for us, right? So that is how you can exclude some of the files. And also you may exclude a different kind of file, like let's say if you are using a code generator like the freeze, and it's the same pattern that you can actually add it over here. So asterisk asterisk and slash and the asterisk dot the free jet the freeze dot the dart file. So you can exclude the files. You may exclude some of the files in your test folder, because in the test you may write a different format and you don't want to analyze it, right? So you can exclude that, all of those stuff in the exclude for the analyzer option over here. And there are a few of the other options that we can actually use over here, like let's say avoid print over here. And the avoid print, let me enable this particular one. Currently it is commented over here, so let me enable this one, right? So I just set it to something like the avoid print to true over here. And if I go back to, let's say let me go back to my main.file, and somewhere here maybe we can do the print, and we'll just go and print some object over here. Avoid print, right? So now I can just go over here, and in the error I will just go and use that particular avoid print again. So if I go to that main.file, and you will see that it is calling the avoid print. So if you don't know the rules, you can actually copy this one. This is the actual one. So I can just copy this one, and I will go to my analysis option over here and paste that one. And here what you want to give for the avoid print. So for the avoid print, I want to set it as the warning, and still giving us the avoid print. I'm not sure why. Okay, so it should be the intent over here. So make sure that you have a proper intent over here, otherwise it's not going to check. It will give you an error, because the YML file basically requires that you have a proper intent over here. If you do not have a proper indentation, and that's going to basically the file is basically it's not going to work. So you must have a proper intent over here, and to avoid print I will set it to true over here. And now if I go back to here, you can see that it is giving me something like the warning over here. Previously it was just an info, right? And if I just say it as a false over here, that basically means disable it. And if I go over here and it doesn't give me any warning, or it doesn't give me a warning info or the error, even if I have enabled it as the warning here, but in the linter I have specifically mentioned that avoid is set to the false, which basically means that disable this rule, so do not enable it. So it's basically going to disable that particular rules, and now you can see there is nothing over here, so it doesn't check for that particular rule. But if you want to enable it over here, you can just say it as a true over here, and that will enable that particular lint rule over here. And you can see now we are getting the warning over here. And there are other things that we can actually do some. So now you can see that this avoid print basically has the lint rules, and the unused import doesn't have the lint rule. So there may have a lint rules, and they may have the analyzer option, but some may have only the analyzer option, and they doesn't have any linter rule, right? So you must go and try to find out that how it works together. Some may work that like it may have a linter rules, lint rules, and it may have an analyzer, but some may just have an analyzer, and some may doesn't have the lint rule. So there may be other things like that we can actually go and check in for our like prefer single code. If you enable this prefer single code, if you set it to true, right, and this basically means that I'll just disable that one as a false for now. And if I go over here, if you are using currently we are using a single quote, but if I change it to double quote over here, now you can see that the only use double quotes for the string containing a single quotes. So this rule has been applied, and we have set it to true. Now it is checking for over here, and if I set it to false over here, sorry, FALSC false, and now you can see that it doesn't check it. But if you enable it to true, and that's going to check it, and you will get a default one as the info over here, and then prefer single quotes. That's the lint rule that we have applied. Now if I go to the avoid error in the error and the analyzer, and if I set it this rules to be like the error, and now if I go to here, you will see that it's giving us an error, right? So which means that it has both the analyzer as well as the lint rule. So in this way you can actually go and check the different ways. So I will just, for this one, I'll just set it to info, right? Sorry, info, and you will just go and see over here that this will be just an info over here. It doesn't have the error. So if you want to disable that completely, then you can just set it as a false over here, FALSC false. So these are some of the basic the analyzer and the linter, so which works together, right? This analyze our code, and these are the rules that we set for our coding standard. And also you can set other different kind of the like the language is also there. Like you can also include the language language, and here you can add a different option for your language. So I guess if we can go to the lint rule and custom, somewhere here it should have that particular option. Yeah, so in the analyzer you can see that, and you can set the language option to strict case to true and the strict raw type to the true. So this is basically which will check for the strict type and strict cast and the strict type, which basically means type inference and other stuff will be checked over here. So if you copy this rule, and if I go back to language section over here, this is basically for the Dart language itself, and if I add this one, and if I do the Flutter analyze over here, you may get some of the error or the options. Okay, so we doesn't have any strict cast error, but sometime you may get a strict cast error over here. We didn't find any error, so I think I'll just go back to the website over there, and let me Okay, so the language analyzer is there. Just copy this code, and you can see that it has the documentation. It mentioned if you want a stricter type check over here, the dot type system. So basically the type that the types that we have, like integer, integer, string, boolean, so all of this stuff. Consider using a enabling a strict cast or the strict inference and the strict raw type of the language. That's the basic thing that you can actually go and set it over here, but this is optional, so I don't think that you should be able to. If you want to be very strict about the typecasting, type inference, so you can enable this one. Let me run the Flutter analyze tool over here again and see whether we get any issue. So I think we don't have any issue. Maybe we don't have any issue in our typecast and the type inference. So this one you can enable it or disable it based on your structure of your code or the coding standard that you are following. If you want to be more strict about the data types and the type inference, right, so you can enable this. If you don't want, you can just set it to like the false over here, and false, and sorry, false over here, and here you can just say that this one can also set it to false, that which means that it is not enabled. So there are different ways that we can do that one. And if you want to learn more about the strict type check and the type strict type inference over here, so basically just remember that the data typecasting basically means that converting one data type to the another type, and which means that if you want to be more strict on that one, converting from the dynamic to the other data type like string and other stuff, then you have to enable the strict cast over here. So converting from one data type, which basically means from the string type to the dynamic type, or from the integer type to the dynamic type, then you have to enable the strict type. And the strict inference, which basically means that automatic conversion of one data type to the another. So let's say from here, automatically, that if you want this one to be the type of the dynamic, right, but you haven't mentioned it, so it cannot detect it what kind of the data type. So if you set it to the type inference to the true, which basically means that you want to be more specific, right? So you don't want it to be like the automatic conversion from one data type to the another type. So here it doesn't have to be like automatic conversion. It's not detecting the type of the data for this particular lines, whether it's the type of the string or integer or any dynamic type. So it's not able to detect it, so that's why you get that particular error. So I guess you guys have some good understanding about how to use the Flutter lint package, right? So which we have added over here, so the Flutter lint package, and how to also make use of the analysis underscore option, that YML file. So where you can add the analyzer, where you can add the language, exclude the file, also add the error, or where you can give a different like a error and warning and the info, and the linter, which basically has the rules that you can enable or disable based on your coding standard. So this will help you to maintain your coding standard more accurately throughout your team. So if you have a team and if you want to set a standard like what we should do this for a particular project, what lints rules which should apply, so what are the coding standard that we want to set, so you can actually make use of this particular file over here. So I hope you enjoyed and learned something useful over here, and we'll be meeting up in the next lecture. Till then, have a great day.